Hello, beautiful people, future me. Welcome to another programming workout of mine where I try to improve my programming skills. I'll start with 5 minutes of typing. So let's go. All right. 2%. Nice, nice, nice. Keep it there. And we are out of the time. So we'll stop this clock, reset it, close this, different. And we will continue in TypeScript. So we have some review. Assert number, unknown, asserts as his number, checks for the type. Okay, so we have an undefined, so this will throw an error. Takes number, returns number. So here is definition of the function type. Then we have a function with definition of the input and return type. And then we have an array of functions that will be this type. And we put in 3, so that will get us 4. Write assert string assertion function. Sure. So input that will be use. That is unknown. And then, oh crap, go back. That, then we will say input. Oh, it was assert input. Asserts input is string, or maybe it is like this. I think. And here we will have if type of input is not string, we will throw out error. Maybe I can close this. And here I will say throw new error with some message. Boom. Okay, like so. That should be it. Okay, so I have somewhere problem. Go a string. Okay, so how they did it in here? And now asserts and its number. Oh, I don't have two S. There's a typo. I have asserts with one S. That might be the problem. Okay. So function assert number, and it checks correctly. Then you have a number in there, so n2 will be 5. That will be okay. Call function. Okay, so this will return 4. And the second chance on this one. So it takes as that's the not unknown. Then it will assert as is string like this. Then if type of s will not be string, then we will throw an error. Or whatever, I don't care. Hopefully this will work. Asserts. I'm missing S again. Okay. All right. It is what it is. Never. Some functions never return. For example, a function that always throws an exception never returns. Yeah, but we will not use the void. The void type is for function that begin, do some work, and finish, but don't return a value. Our function above is different. If we call it, then the code after that call will never execute at all. Fortunately, there's Typescript type for that. Never. Never. No. Okay. The never type is a bit strange. A little bit, yeah. It's assignable to any other type. We can assign it to a number variable, for example. The function will continue to throw the exception like usual. So the answer here is the same as above. So what it will throw the error. At first it seems like never is acting like any, because we are allowed to assign the never to a number or a string or anything else. But unlike any, this is safe. Compiler knows that our throws function never returns, so it also knows that I will call my team. Very nice. Compiler knows that our throws function never returns, so it also knows that nothing will ever be assigned to the end variable. Types exist to ensure that the data is correct at runtime if assignment never actually happens at runtime, and the compiler knows that for sure in advance, then the types don't matter. However, we can assign any other type to never. That would break the rule of never, that it never actually holds a value. Trying to assign any value to never is always a type error. When a code example contains a type error, you can answer it with type error. Okay, now type error. Absolutely nothing can be assigned to a never, not even any. Type error. If a function always throws but has no explicitly written type, then TypeScript will infer a void return type. That's not bad, but it's better to explicitly mark it as never, which gives TypeScript a bit more information to work with. For example, suppose that a function calls other function that returns never. TypeScript will correctly infer the outer function type as never as well. I see. That code compiled, which tells us that also throws has a return type of never. If its return type were void, then we wouldn't be able to assign it to a number. Hmm. Change this function return type to never. That will cause a type error because the function does return. TypeScript won't allow a never function to return a value. If TypeScript also won't let a never function returned conditionally, example inside if there's any way for a function to return a value, then its return type can't be never. That wouldn't make sense. The never type applies to more than just exception throwing functions. For example, a function with an infinite loop can and should have a return type never. Unfortunately, we can show a live example of that here because it would never terminate. However, we can show the opposite, a function that looks kind of like an infinite loop and claims to be a never but still sometimes return. That's type error. So type error. Finally, a quick summary of void and never. Void means that the function eventually terminates and returns. It's just that it doesn't return any value. The function either has no return statement or it has a bare return statement with no value after it. The void type isn't assignable to anything because it represents the absence of a value. Never means that the function never terminates normally. Never terminates normally. It might throw an exception or go into an infinite loop. If we are in a server-side system like Node, it might call process.exit to terminate the process. The only way or another, execution never reaches the end of the function. The never type is assignable to anything because the compiler knows that the assignment will never actually happen at runtime. Sometimes a type needs to reference itself. For example, we can define a type for arbitrarily nested arrays of numbers. Here are some values that it should allow. Oh wow, that is a good tea. Huang Guan Yin Hong Cha 2015. Hmm? Mm-hmm. Fortunately, declaring this type in TypeScript only requires language features that we already seen. Oh, cool. Nested number array is a recursive type. It references itself like a recursive function does. And like a recursive function, what about, shouldn't be somewhere like be number array because I get this one. And how come it takes, it references itself like a recursive function does, and like a recursive function, that nesting can be resolved as many times as necessary. For example, let's consider 5 3 levels deep. What is its type? We can find out by causing an intentional typo when looking at how TypeScript represents that one type in the error message. Wait. A number is not assignable to type. Wait. Has a type number. Yeah, we can get that same type by expanding our nested number array type definition repeatedly. At each step, we'll replace nested number array with either the left or right side of the union. Type is type nested number array, nested number array. Repeatedly replace nested number array. What? Wow, okay. Internally, the TypeScript compiler does something similar to that process. It expands the recursive type as many times as necessary. Let's examine some concrete examples to make sure that they type check. We'll also include some examples that don't type check to make sure that the type rejects incorrect values. For examples that cause type errors, you can blah blah blah. Wow, that's weird. Error message. The compiler is struggling to produce a sensible message for the weird value that we gave it. Type error, string number is not assignable to type. Nested number array. You probably won't need a nested number array type like the one above, but you'll almost certainly encounter JSON. Using recursive types, we can write a single type definition that encompasses all JSON values. Haha. Common style defining multi-line. Sure. This type combines several type system features. It has the union type, it has an array type, and it has the index signature type. Here are a few examples of the JSON type in action. Why is this not okay? Because it should be the JSON, and JSON is not an object. Okay. String possible. Undefined. No, so this is type error. You find yourself writing recursive types every day. In fact, it's usually best to avoid them when there's another way. They can be confusing, as shown by some of the error messages above, but sometimes you really do need them, and in those cases, you'll be glad that the Typescript supports them. Nothing more? Okay. 2 minutes of typing then. And we are out of time. So that means we are done. Done is better than perfect every single time. And I will see you next time. Bye.